Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to Government House, Yarralumla. Dawa Nuna, Dawa Nunawal. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Ngunnawal people, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present, emerging leaders, and any other Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders that might be gathered here with us this afternoon. My name is Paul Singer and I'm the Official Secretary to the Governor-General. And as this badge signifies with its cross quills, I'm also Secretary of the Order of Australia, the council which makes recommendations in the General Division of the Order to the Governor-General, who is Chancellor and Principal Companion of the Order. I'm also Secretary of the Australian Bravery Decorations Council, the body which makes recommendations to the Governor-General for Bravery Awards. Before we start today's ceremony, I'd like to acknowledge that despite the challenges posed by the current pandemic, we are delighted to be able to host this ceremony in a COVID-safe manner. We are grateful for your understanding of and compliance with the measures that we've put in place to ensure everyone's safety. Today is a special day, not only for the recipients, but also for their family, their friends and their communities. It is a day when we celebrate a diverse range of impressive achievements and service. The Australian Honours System provides a wonderful mechanism through which we as a nation can recognise and celebrate ordinary Australians doing extraordinary things. Since its inception in 1975, over 420,000 people have been recognised for their meritorious, bravery, military or national service. The Order of Australia is the principal means of recognising outstanding service. And it's important to note that nominations come from all parts of the community. Anyone can nominate. As staff at Government House, my colleagues and I are privileged to play a small part in the recognition and celebration of that achievement. We hope that we can make today an special occasion that you'll recall with pride for a long time to come. Shortly, I'll invite you to stand as Her Excellencies the Governor-General and Mrs Hurley enter the room and then remain standing for the singing of the first verse of the Australian National Anthem. After I read the names and citations, the recipients will enter the room from the doorway on my right, and after they've been invested, will depart via the central aisle to take up their seats at the back of the room. At this point, you might like to show your appreciation with a short applause as the recipients return to their seat. At the conclusion of the ceremony, I'll invite recipients to join with Their Excellencies for a formal photograph on the state entrance stairs. And after the photographs are taken, Their Excellencies and recipients look forward to joining all guests out in the Lakeside Terrace where refreshments will be served. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please relax and enjoy this very special afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the arrival of Her Excellencies the Governor-General and Mrs Hurley and for the singing of the first verse of the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is dirt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Good afternoon all. A very warm welcome to Government House Yarralumla from Linda and I and the staff here at Government House. We're delighted to have you here for a very special occasion in the lives of our somewhat apprehensive and nervous recipients seated behind you and in the hallway, but a very special occasion as we as a nation celebrate and acknowledge the contribution they've made to our country. And speaking of country, it's important to acknowledge that the Government House Yarralumla sits on the land of the Ngunnawal people. They have looked after this beautiful part of our country for generation after generation. We thank them for that and pay respects to elders past and present. Today is these ceremonies are the highlight of the calendar here at Government House each year. It's an occasion where we do recognise very special people and the contribution they make to our country. You'll notice, of course, there's a bit of pomp and protocol around the day, and that's as it should be, given the nature of the day. But it is also a very Australian occasion in an Australian Government House, so please relax, as Paul has said. You may smile, applaud at the appropriate times, and enjoy the occasion. Our current, or this honours and awards system that we're presenting these awards through today replaced the Imperial award system in 1975. There's one very special characteristic or feature of our award system, and that is in the General Division or the Civilian Division of the Order. The nominations come from community peers. This is not a system in which the elites in Canberra or our state capitals look down and say someone who's doing a good job, we should acknowledge them by presenting them an award. This system is very much based on nominations from our citizens. I want you to bear that in mind as we proceed with the ceremony, because I'm going to issue you some homework before you depart this room this afternoon. Australia has had a difficult year, and that's an understatement. Prior to this appointment, Linda and I were in Government House, Sydney for 4 and a bit years. We witnessed the devastation of drought in that state. We've seen the terrible floods in northern Queensland and the floods that were here earlier this year. We've been through a horrific bushfire season that is still very fresh in our memories, and now we are enduring a pandemic. Any of those challenges in themselves would be sufficient, but as a whole, it's a major load, a major challenge for any country and its people to bear. Our travel, Linda and my travel, has been quite limited over the last 3.5 months, but we have been reaching out to the Australian community using every known virtual meeting app there might be to gauge the temperature out there, how is community faring, urge people on, encourage them and thank them for their work. After every one of those conversations, we come away uplifted. And why? Because of the strength of character, the goodness, and the big hearts that are out there amongst our people for each other and wanting to help each other not only survive but successfully get through what has been thrown at us. Today's ceremony, and as indeed each of the other ceremonies we conducted last week and this week, we will see a small sample, a microcosm of that Australia that we know that's out there. And we're very grateful for each and every one of those who will be acknowledged today for their effort. And so on that note, it's a great delight for me now to conduct the formal ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, to be presented with the insignia of his appointment as a member in the Military Division, Air Commodore Graham Edwards, for exceptional service to the Australian Defence Force in aerospace acquisition and sustainment and organisational capability development. Air Commodore Edwards is a senior officer and electronics engineer of extraordinary skill. He displayed excellent commercial acumen in his role as Officer Commanding of the Early Warning and Control System Program Office, where he oversaw the Boeing E-7A Wedge-tail aircraft's in-service support contract. As Director General Aerospace Development, he managed the incorporation of Capability Development Group functions into Air Force Headquarters as part of the First Principles Review. Subsequently, as Director General Airlift and Tanker Systems, he led the review of the potential impacts of the new Defence Aviation Safety Regulations. Air Commodore Edwards has made a superior contribution to aerospace acquisition and sustainment and organisational capability development, which will deliver lasting benefits to our Defence Force. Air Commodore Graham Edwards appointed a member of the Order.
Very hard yards in the area of the script for Air Force and Defence Force. And thank you also for many years ago. Thank you.
To be presented with the insignia of her award of the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Mrs. Jennifer Cross, for service to children and families impacted by dyslexia. Mrs. Cross has been an outstanding supporter and advocate for dyslexic students, their families and carers. She has championed their cause through roles with support groups and committees, including the establishment of the Code Red Dyslexia Network. Her creation of a community Facebook page with information for families and carers has been of immense benefit. She's also petitioned the ACT Government to implement evidence-based instruction in schools to assist all children learning to read. Mrs. Cross is proof that one person can make a positive difference to the lives of many. Mrs. Jennifer Cross awarded the Medal of the Order.
Now, I noticed that people have been told to look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To be presented with the insignia of her award of the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Ms. Anne Walsh, for service to people with an intellectual disability. Ms. Walsh is a quiet achiever who has been an invaluable advocate for and supporter of people living with an intellectual disability. She is a key member of the L'Arche de Nesseret community here in Canberra and is an influential role model for others. She regularly speaks at community forums promoting the message of social inclusion and the importance of developing strong bonds between people with and without disability. She's also an accomplished athlete who represented Australia at the Paralympics in Spain in 1992, and she's also been a member of the judging panel for the ACT Chief Minister's Inclusion Awards. Ms. Walsh is an inspirational member of our community. Ms. Anne Walsh awarded the Medal of the Order. To be presented with the insignia of his award of the Medal of the Order in the Military Division, Captain Alan Whittaker, for meritorious service in the field of Navy aviation capability development. Captain Whittaker has served in the Australian Naval Aviation capability positions during a period of aircraft and process transition. He effectively advocated for a Navy unmanned aerial system capability and worked to acquire the multi-role aviation training vessel MV Sycamore. His efforts also contributed to the introduction into service of the MRH-90 Maritime Support Helicopter, the MH-60R Romeo Seahawk, and the Australian Defence Force Helicopter Aircrew Training System. Captain Whittaker has been vital to the delivery of enduring benefits to Navy and to the Australian Defence Force. Captain Alan Whittaker awarded the Medal of the Order. To be presented with the insignia of his award of the Conspicuous Service Cross, Lieutenant Colonel Philip Ellsmore, for outstanding achievement modernising and streamlining Army capabilities in digital communications and career management. Lieutenant Colonel Ellsmore displayed exceptional service through the implementation of widespread training modernisation and innovative equipment and structural reforms in Army. He engaged with a range of stakeholders to reduce the learning loop, and the format in which communications training is now conducted is a direct result of his ingenuity and pioneering approach to digital network development. Lieutenant Colonel Elsmore has also expertly reviewed and refined a career management cycle for a portfolio of over 800 Warrant Officer Class 1s in the Army. Lieutenant Colonel Philip Elsmore awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross. To be presented with the insignia of his award of the Public Service Medal, Mr. Leo Hardiman, for outstanding public service through the provision of legal service to the Commonwealth. Mr. Hardiman has been deeply committed to providing superior legal services to the Commonwealth for over 30 years. His professional expertise extends to the most complex constitutional and statutory interpretation matters, including public interest immunity and the Australian Government's public governance and accountability framework. He's been key in engaging stakeholders, ensuring that legal issues across the Commonwealth are dealt with consistently. Mr. Hardiman's high-level advice was also key to the marriage reform in Australia, both in relation to the plebiscite on same-sex marriage and amendments to the Marriage Act of 1961. Mr. Leo Hardiman awarded the Public Service Medal. To be presented with the insignia of her award of the Public Service Medal, Dr. Lisa Streeline, for outstanding public service to improving awareness across the Australian public service of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture and to the debate on native title. Dr. Streeline is one of Australia's foremost experts in the area of native title law and practice. She has provided strategic leadership within the Australian Institute of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Studies and is committed to honouring Australia's First Peoples. Most importantly, she has played a key role in the development of the nationally significant Guidelines for Ethical Research in Australian Indigenous Studies. Dr. Streeline has been integral to the creation of the APS-wide Cultural Competency Training Program, and she's developed teaching resources that explore Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander histories, peoples and cultures. Dr. Lisa Streeline awarded the Public Service Medal. We move now to the Australian Bravery Decorations. To be presented with the insignia of his award of the Commendation for Brave Conduct, Major Brendan Rowe. On the afternoon of the 20th of May 2015, Major Rowe was driving with his wife and children when he saw a heated exchange in progress on the side of a road between a man and two women. One of the women had a baby in a pram. The two women began pushing each other before the man stepped in, grabbed one woman by the hair and threw her towards oncoming traffic. Major Rowe got out of his car and immediately placed himself between the woman who had been thrown onto the ground and the other two adults. At that point, the woman on the ground lunged past him and knocked the pram over. This caused the man to reach into his pocket and pull out a knife. He began to advance on Major Rowe and the woman. Concerned for the safety of the woman, Major Rowe positioned himself between the victim and the armed man. The woman he was shielding then began to yell at the armed man, agitating him further. Major Rowe continued to speak calmly to the armed man and ensured that a safe distance was kept between the three people until police arrived on the scene. For his actions, Major Rowe is recognised with the award of the Commendation for Brave Conduct. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that concludes the presentations for this afternoon.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have acknowledged each of the recipients individually. It would be appropriate now to acknowledge them as a group. Please join me. Now to your homework. You'll notice in the, as I say, in the general or civilian division, the wide range of activities and commitments people have made to community and for which they've been recognised. Add that to the point that the system runs on you, the citizens of Australia, nominating. I need you to go back to your communities, your suburbs, your organisations. You know people who are performing wonderful duties in support of our country. Please nominate. Paul will give you the detail of how to do that. But please nominate. And I'd like to mark your homework in about a year or so as people come through that door and are acknowledged for their service to our country. It's a bit difficult to gauge as we have such small numbers now, but there are some other issues we need to address in our system. Overall, each year, women make up about 40% of the recipients. That's grown in recent years, but it is still not sufficient. We need to increase the number of women being recognised. Similarly, we need to increase our multicultural representation and our Indigenous representation. We will, of course, drive that from here, but I need the community's support to make that happen. So there's your homework. Think about it and let me mark it well in a few years' time. Again, congratulations to our recipients this afternoon. We look forward now, Linda and I, to meeting you all outside, enjoying the occasion and celebrating what is a great day here in Australia. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, to assist with the homework that the Governor-General has just issued, I do encourage you to look at the Governor-General's website, where you'll find plenty of information available on how to nominate someone that you think is worthy for recognition within the Order of Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, shortly I'll invite you to stand for the departure of Your Excellencies and also the recipients, who will proceed to the state entrance for an official photograph. And after those photographs have been taken, refreshments will be served out on the lakeside terrace. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the departure of the Governor-General and Mrs. Hurley and of the recipients. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I now invite you to head through to the dining room and then out onto the lakeside terrace. It's a beautiful afternoon. Lynette will show you the way. Thank you and a very good afternoon.